Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit Season 5. My name is Daniel Martinez-Stahl. We are about to start Day 3. This is Episode 7, and it is with Alex Vitillo, who is someone that is new to me this year, so she's joining us for the first time. So very excited to see where this conversation goes. And so I'll let her introduce herself to you, and then we will go from there.
Fantastic. Well, so excited to be with you all today. I said at the beginning, if you feel like putting your camera on, please go ahead. So it's easier as well to channel information. This is all about what are we here to bring from Spirit. So very excited to do this conversation with Daniel. We'll see how it flows. And just a few brief words about me. I'm a leading shamanic priestess of wealth and well-being. And you may think, what does it mean? It means I'm a shaman, and I'm all about merging well-being as a human being. How do we evolve in our humanness? And at the same time, how do we do it in a rich way? And rich could be from a health, from like riches, wealth, and of course, relationship. So when we put the two together, hopefully we have a better life. I think there's no shame in coming here and having great, great, great aspirations. How did I get here? I was telling Daniel just a minute ago, I come from a very, very traditional background. By birth, I'm Italian, I'm a Catholic. I studied economics, finance. I came to London. I'm in London. I came to London to work in the city, financial investment banking, and married a wonderful man, had 2 wonderful kids. And one day, a few years ago, actually on the 9th of May, so today is still a little bit very close to trigger date for me, my husband passed away. And when my husband passed away, I thought to myself, cannot work in an investment bank anymore with 2 young kids. My son was 6, my daughter was 4. And I had to take a pause and say, wow, what do I do with myself? I never heard of the word healing in my life before. I never knew what a shaman was, nothing. And Spirit trickled things, when you start to stop and reflect. And I started meditating and ask, what do I do with myself? And meditation was the first answer because it really helped me survive. I wouldn't sleep at night, and during the day I was with the kids. And those few moments of meditations, that was new to me. That was where I had my respite. And I thought, okay, if meditation helped me, I want to be a meditation teacher. And that started my journey, my healing journey, first and foremost. And I went into meditation, mindfulness, awareness coaching. And from there, I never stopped learning. And this is where I started to work with energies. I train as a theta healer. I train as a shaman. I have a very, very strong psychic connection with Spirit, which I'm going to say, funny enough, comes from my traditional Italian family, but they all keep it hush-hush. And when I was a teenager, my dad used to know so many things about me. And I used to say, how does he know that? Like I would say I was going somewhere else. He would always knew. And this is how I knew. He's got that strong connection. He has crystals all over the place. Now it doesn't work with crystals. He thinks they're beautiful, but hey, they do have an impact on him. So this is, I'm here with you today. Some teachers call me an oracle, a modern day oracle, because it's very easy for me when I talk to really channel, if we want to use this word, what people need to hear and what I need to hear for myself. So hopefully we can have an interesting conversation.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And so talk to me a little bit more about kind of the shamanic process and how you integrate that with, call it the business world, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yes. So I have to take a step and say, so when I left the city, I thought, and I trained as a healer, I thought I'm going to heal everything and everyone and in every domain. So whether it was a physical ailment, people looking for relationships, anything went. And I thought nothing about business. That
So Alex mentioned to me in the beginning that her internet has been a little bit spotty today. So she just froze for those of you that are listening to the recording and are not watching the video. So hopefully she will come back soon. We will see how long it takes. So I'm really interested in this subject. Yeah, she dropped out. So I'm interested in this subject, obviously, because I'm looking to, work in this field, to do more professionally. There's a.
Are we back?
You are back. I'm just sharing something in the meantime. There's a idea with many people within spirituality that this idea of letting go of possessions, and what's been coming through a lot lately from spirit is a recognition that for us to truly thrive, we need to recognize that we are abundant. We live in an abundant world. We live in an abundant universe. And our birthright is abundance. Our birthright is to have anything and everything that we want, and to be able to create anything and everything that we want. And so there's this shift that's happening in the spiritual community, in the spiritual world, where people are recognizing the importance, if you will, not necessarily of being rich, because that's not the intention. Like, I don't want to have X number of dollars in my bank account. That's not what drives me. But I do want to live an abundant life where I'm not experiencing any limitation of any kind. And that includes financial abundance, as well as, like Alex said, romantic abundance and, health abundance, so that my body is, thriving, my relationships are thriving, my business is thriving, everything in my life is just at another level. And so that's a direction that we are all going into. And a lot of us in the spiritual journey are on this path to be the ones that lead the way, to, break new ground and show people what's available and what's possible. And so many of us on this journey are, aware of this shift. And so this conversation is actually very pertinent. The material aspect of our life, our society has put it down for many years. People strive to it, but then they also put it down. And a lot of, like I say, I'm just going to repeat myself, a lot of what we're being told right now is to step into the abundance that is available to us, the abundance that is in our DNA. It is who we are. It is what we are about. And so I'm interested in this conversation with Alex to understand how she helps people to reach more abundance in their life. And so, Alex, you're back?
Yes, I'm back.
Awesome.
I'm back.
Let me put you back
So,
on the spotlight. Give me 1 second. There
yes.
you are.
So I think there is a little bit of this misunderstanding, right, in what you were saying, that we cannot be pure of heart and intention if we are charging money, if we're making money, if we are rich, whatever rich means to you. And so the opposite is quite true, because if you want to make an impact, and as I call the light leader, a spiritual leader, somebody who's got a great heart, you want to make an impact. So it's not just about your life, but it's making an impact to the world. So how do we do that? You need resources. So there's a lot of talk about the patriarchy breaking down and the whole system of money and banking's breaking down. But right now, we still work on the systems where we're paying money, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's whatever you want to call it, but it's still associated to a value, a monetary value. So let's say if I want to spend my day cleaning the ocean, I need to be in a position where I don't need to worry, how am I going to feed my kids today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow, right? Or if I want to make some studies into epigenetics, for instance, I need resources to invest and make those studies. I want to launch a rocket into Mars for the well-being of human, maybe I need resources. And so it's better that the resources are held by people that want to make a positive impact, as opposed to think about it, right? Who's got the resource at the moment? Because all the spiritual teachers are saying, no, this is not spiritual enough, can't be abundant. If I charge money, I won't be able to help. There's always, I think you need to look at it, there's something for everybody, right? So at the beginning of your journey, maybe you're charging on donation, those people are going to come to you. Then you do elevate yourself, more training, more experience, you charge a little more, someone else is going to come to you. There are teachers that charge $1 million for 6 months, for instance. People that go to them, they have those resources. And so you just need to feel comfortable in, where do I create value? How can I ask for the money, receive the money, and know that it's for the betterment of your world, first and foremost. It starts from you. And then the more you feel expanded, the more you can share that expansion. And we all feel, when I say hold, again, in the spiritual world, we think, yeah, that's true. But in practicality, then you see that people that are in the healing business, they tend to struggle. And this is because they haven't really opened their channel for abundance to flow. Or they think, I can have the relationship, but not the money. Or I can have the health, but not the wealth. Or I can have the wealth, but I need to work 24/7. So we're still very much adjusting to, you can be whole and complete and expanded. And you can be spiritual. And yes, you're going to make greater good with more resources, which is cash as well, right? You're going to need cash. Let's say, again, I want to go back to cleaning the oceans, because I think we all need to do that. But imagine if you can call in a team, and instead of saying, do you want to volunteer? You say, okay, I'm organizing a team, I'm paying you this, we're going to spend the day on the beach. It's a lot easier and a lot cleaner. That's my spiel.
So something popped in my head as you were speaking and I lost it. Anyway, it'll come back to me. So trying to see if I can find it again, and it's not coming. Anyway, those of you that are live with us, feel free to, ask questions, raise your hand, interact with us as you wish. One of the things that I'll share with you guys, the reason that I am offering this platform on a donation basis for contributions, and it's basically a free platform, is really driven by spirit, to be honest with you. It is Catherine Flynn, when I was interviewing her before I invited her to come and speak a couple seasons ago, I was having questions about how much to charge, what to charge, how to structure it, and the Druids came forward. And what they said really resonated with me. They said if it was up to us, it would be free for everybody. But we understand that, you're in an environment where, making money is part of the game. And so I decided to shift my intention around this project. My intention for this project, and I'll be very upfront and straightforward, is my hope is that what we are sharing with you guys and how we share it with you guys resonates with you, for you to hire us, for you to work with us to help you improve your life, have it be joining our programs, have it be, coordinating with the different speakers for, for one-on-ones or the classes that they teach. And so a lot of this intention for me was, I don't necessarily want to charge up front, but I do want to do this. I've always intended for this product, this project, this platform to help expand the financial abundance of all of the participants, of you guys, as well as of the speakers. And so that is part of my intention. That is part of the framework that I have for this platform. I realize that this is year one for us, so we are still fairly young. We have about 300 and some odd people registered, many of which don't listen to the lives. I understand that busy lives and, jumping on a live session can be time consuming and difficult to schedule around. But I have every intention of this being an abundant experience for all of us. So I was really excited when I met Alex and I learned that this is an area that she focuses on, because it's good for all of us to recognize that we have the ability to live from a place where abundance is a natural part of our experience. Please share more on how to determine what to charge for someone's unique service. I look at what others charge and feel into what makes sense for me and my level of expertise. Comments. Alex, do you want to take that and I can add my 2 cents to that?
Sure. So pricing is a huge topic, and it's a topic that a lot of business coaches are going to put their view on. And the theory, there's the theory, and then there's the reality. And the theory, so one of the ways, yes, look at what other people charges and then tune into what you think it's fair, go and charge. Now, like I said, I'm going to call spiritual entrepreneurs, right? And that's the light leaders, people like you, probably like me. We tend to undercharge. And there are studies that shows that women in particular, again, as a subcategory, they charge even less because there's all these emotions attached to it. Can I deliver? Can I not? There's still this old paradigm that you need to, work twice as hard. And if you look again in the in the 3D reality, nothing non-spiritual, still women are paid a lot less than men everywhere, even in developed countries, if you allow me this term. The reality is that, unless you really, and I'm going to say work on yourself, you can put whatever price tag you want. But if you don't truly own this idea that you have the right to be abundant, you're not going to get, no matter what price you put on your service. So you may say, everybody charges this, I'm going to go a little bit lower. And then you think, oh, not selling. What's happening? Or you may be brainwashed by a high ticket coach. I call myself a high ticket coach, but I do healing on people to help them elevate their prices. I don't brainwash them on, you should be charging this, you're undervaluing yourself. And you could say, oh, okay, yes, fantastic. I'm going to charge this much. And again, it's not going to go down. So pricing is such a sensitive, and I would say it's one of the secrets of really making your business thrive. And it doesn't work by reading books. It doesn't work by listening to videos. It doesn't work by, you got to do your healing work. You got to do your healing work. And unless you do that, my experience is you're going to be in a rut for a very, very, very long time. And I never sugarcoat things. So that's one thing that maybe we should have said at the beginning. So if you don't like this answer, forgive me, but by experience. I wish you have a different experience. If you do, fantastic. come and talk to me, but this is what I see. Daniel.
From kind of a structural perspective, what's important is you charge what you're comfortable with. If you charge something above what you're comfortable with, there's going to be resistance to it. If you charge less than your value, there's going to be resistance to it. So a lot of what pricing comes down to is, what are you comfortable charging? Now, if you want to come to a figure out, you can look at the numbers, figure out what it is that would excite you. If I made, well, let me use me for an example. Okay. I offer past life regression sessions, in between life sessions, and things like that. And my rate is a little bit higher than the average. I do that because I don't do it because I want to be more expensive than others. I do that because when I was thinking about, well, what is this worth to me if I was a practitioner, and if I was the traveler, what would this be worth to me? And the figures that came to my mind, the figures that I'm comfortable with, is what I charge. I also offer discounts to that. So if somebody can't afford it, then we work something out. The idea of a fair exchange of value is something that I support. It's, thinking about, what is a fair exchange? I've got a friend of mine that, she has her fair exchange, and if you can't afford it, she'll say, send me a gift. Go out to the store, buy a $10 gift and send me a gift. She did sessions in the past for a candy bar. I mean, so it doesn't have to be a lot of quote unquote value, but the value doesn't have to be monetary. So figuring out what you're comfortable with, figuring out what would excite you to make. I don't want to charge $1,000 for a past life regression session. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't feel right. But I also don't want to charge $100 for it either. That doesn't feel right to me either. So you kind of find within what you're comfortable with, and hopefully that's helpful. As my business grows, and I start channeling more actively and utilizing channeling in the work that I do, I am probably going to kind of match what people that I respect are charging, just because it makes sense for me to not be too far below that or too high above that, as long as that fits within what I feel is a good exchange, because that's ultimately what I'm going to be driving everything on, is how does that make me feel? So hopefully that's helpful, Kelly.
I also want to add to that a very practical tip, which is, if you want to charge a certain price, you need to have invested that amount before. So very practically, if you're charging, let's say, per session, and like Daniel says, you're offering something that you can charge per session, and you're going to say, I'm going to charge $100. The question is, have you done it yourself? Have you gone to a teacher that offered something? It doesn't need to be the same thing, but a session at $500. Because it's this idea that money circulates, abundance circulates. And if you're closing yourself off, judging somebody and say, oh my God, they're charging $500, they're crazy, it's too much. And then you think, oh, I'm going to value my service at $500, but you're not open to give, then again, to me, that's a block. And it's like people, again, tithing is one of the secret of abundance. Each and every spiritual teacher, starting by Jesus, is going to tell you, you give, right? And the more you give, the more abundance comes. So unless you've invested, you know how it feels, you know the value you had, then you cannot ask for that amount. It's not going to work.
I'll use an example to what Alex is pointing at. About a year ago, I was in a supermarket, and there was a woman that was in front of me at the register, and there was an energy to her that just kind of felt a little off to me, but I didn't really give it much thought. I go out to the parking lot and I noticed that she's walking out and she's walking towards a Lamborghini. And I went, oh, of course, that makes sense. There was this energy to her that, you know, and I judged her because those cars to me are just ludicrous. Like, I don't like the noise. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they're showy, they're flashy. And I kind of went into that kind of judgment of it. And later on, I was like, what am I talking about? You know, if that's what she enjoys and she likes those flashy, loud, obnoxious cars, then, you know, more power to her, you know? So it kind of, I became aware that I was judging someone because they had a, you know, $500,000 car or $250,000 car. And the cars that I want are worth equally as much, but they're just not loud. They're not loud and brash and kind of flashy. So it's not about the value for me, because I want a Porsche 911 Turbo, and those are $250,000. Ultimately, that's the car that I want when they fix it, because they don't have a heads-up display yet. So I'm still manifesting that. But anyway, but it's an example of, if I'm going to judge someone else for what they have, then I can't expect myself to have abundance in free flow of energy. There's a conversation that I've been picking up lately, which is, we are the conduit of the universe. And if you are a conduit of the universe is going to use you to distribute wealth. The universe is going to use you to distribute and to be a conduit of abundance. And so people that you give money to, that you hire, you are contributing to their abundance as the universe is utilizing you. And so there's this kind of free flowing of energy without resistance, which is what Alex is kind of pointing to. So hopefully that's helpful. Really glad to hear that, Kelly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anything else you want to share or add to this, Alex?
I'd like to say, oftentimes you have to start. So in order to receive, you have to start giving, as opposed to, let me see, somebody pays me $500 for a session, and then I'll invest in $500 for a session. Generally, it's the other way around. And I did a little game that I always say to clients, go and do that. But for 7 days, I took £1, $1, it's a coin, and I went around my neighborhood and I was hiding £1 here, £1 there, and just say, oh, I wonder who's going to find it. And at the end of the week, I found 60 pounds on the street. How? I mean, never happened to me. And I say, and each of the clients that do it, that invariably something happened. They're going to find money somewhere by coincidence. It's not a coincidence. When you let go, and again, you let go with, I'm open, it's going to come back multiplied. 100%.
There's one thing that I'll add to that, which is, you can't fool the universe. So you can't say, I'm going to do this so that I can get money back. That's not the mindset that we're talking about. You cannot trick the universe. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna think highly of the millionaires so that I can allow myself to be more affluent. You can't trick the universe. It needs to be genuine. It needs to be with humility and authenticity. For me, it's about getting myself in a position where I don't look at money as a limitation, where I look at money as an energy that is equally as abundant as the energy that I live off of, that my body feeds off of to exist, that is around us. And every single plant and animal and, you know, earth is exuding energy. It is everywhere. And so for me, it's about shifting my mindset to look at money in the same way as I look at the abundance of energy everywhere. Now, I'm not making a lot of money. I'm still living off of my savings right now. You know, these events are you know, making a couple $100 a season, you know, and I share most of that with the speakers. You know, so I'm not making money from these. I don't have that many paying clients. My membership right now is, you know, 5 paying members. You know, it's not a lot of money. So I'm still living off my savings, but I'm also not concerned. Like, it doesn't worry me. I know that the universe I will have everything I need and more when I need it. I know that. And for me, it's about learning to trust the truth of that knowing, because there's still a little niggle of doubt. And so that's what I'm playing with in my own journey, is in letting go of that doubt and trusting and allowing this knowing that, you know, galore, 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 I have everything I need and more, which is one of the sayings that the council shares with us, the Sarah Linden and the council. And it's really powerful if you use this as a mantra. The effect that has on you is tangible. You know, galore, 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 I have everything I need and more. The more that you start to realize that the truth of that, then money will not be an issue anymore. It's not a question of, do I have money to pay the rent? Do I have money to pay my bills? You know, if you're asked right now, in this moment, do you have everything that you need? Yes. Do I have money to pay my rent this month? Absolutely. Do I need to worry about 2 months from now? No, I don't. Just that's not right now. That's not in the moment. In the moment, do I have everything I need and more? Yes. Am I abundant? Yes. When I pay my credit cards at the end of the month, I pay almost everything on credit card. About 2 months ago, so let me kind of share something else. Sorry, Alex, I kind of
That's
took
okay.
this from
That's
you.
okay. I'm interested.
So a couple of years ago, and for, you know, a long time, I've heard things like, if you infuse your payments with love and gratitude, it multiplies. And, you know, I've done that, and it's never quite resonated with me personally. A couple of months ago, it was like 3 months ago now, I'm paying my credit cards, and I realized that I wasn't paying my credit cards. Spirit is paying my credit cards. That shifted something in me. I felt a tangible shift as soon as I realized that, again, I'm a conduit for spirit. I'm not paying my credit cards. My bank account isn't my money. I'm a conduit for spirit. So spirit is paying my credit cards, which means that spirit will always pay my credit cards. Spirit will always pay my rent. Spirit will always support me in what it is that I want to achieve and what I want to accomplish, with no limitation. Because why? Because I am the energy that creates everything. And if I am the energy that creates everything, what limitation do I have? And so this is the direction that I'm pointing myself towards. And, you know, so 5 years from now, am I going to be a multimillionaire? Maybe. Am I going to be still living off my savings? I seriously doubt it. But does that kind of excite me? Being a multimillionaire doesn't excite me. What excites me is to be able to have the financial freedom to do what it is that I want when I want to do it without any thought. And so these guys back here, I just bought that dragon and that butterfly, and I had a very different experience with them than I've had in a long time. So I've always been very careful with my money. I've always looked at the idea that you save your pennies so that you can make millions. I heard that sometime when I was a kid, that, you know, multimillionaires, you know, are careful about where they spend their money. And so I said, well, that makes sense to me. So I've been careful where I spend my money all the time. And I realize now that that's holding me back, because there's a limitation of what am I being careful about? And so, these guys were more expensive than I had thought they were going to be. And one of my thoughts was, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll return them and I can find them online cheaper. And as soon as I heard myself say that, I was like, why am I creating that limitation? Who cares if they were more expensive than I thought? I don't need to worry about the $15 or the $30 or the, $50. I have that money available to me. So let me share it with the owner of the store. Let me share it with the owner of the store that's hiring people to do their work and he's paying them. Fabulous. So let me pay $50 for a stuffed animal. Who cares? And that same day, I went to get a Thai food at a restaurant. I bought a few things, my kind of standards. It was $40. And my initial thought was, oh my God, I wasn't expecting $40. But my expectation wasn't, I could feel that my expectation wasn't attached with judgment or worry or concern, or I shouldn't do this. It was like, oh my God, that's not what I was expecting, but that's okay. And I noticed that shift in me. Oh, it's okay. It's $40 for my food. It's more than I thought I was going to pay, but that's okay because I have the money for it. I am abundant. This isn't an issue. And so this is where I am shifting my own mindset around money. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully this is helpful. Alex, anything that you want to kind of share?
There is a book called It's Not Your Money. I've got it on my shelf. I forgot who wrote it, but it's really about that it's not really your money. It's just spirit's money. And so, honor it, administer it, look after it, love it, and pass it on. And as business owners, the other thing I want to say, when you pay your taxes, be grateful. And I always say every year, next year, I want to pay more taxes because, right, I'm sharing for my health. I know in America it's slightly different, but for my health, the country looking after cleaning the street. And I want to make more money in my business so I can pay more taxes. And for me, the trigger is next year I want to pay more taxes. It's as easy as that. As opposed that if you're there, the government is taking this and it's so expensive. Again, you feel the resistance, and it is not conducive of expansion. It really puts you, it's true, you're either in contraction or expansion. And while you cannot always be in expansion, you still want to recognize within you, where is that limit, right? Where is that doesn't feel good, because the resistance is just going to block it. And yeah.
So there's certain things that I still feel like I just don't feel like it's necessary for me to spend money. And I'm okay with that. I don't feel that that's a limitation. I just don't think it's justified for me to spend money. So, I would rather take a bus from an airport into town in a new city that I'm exploring than take a taxi. I don't mind taking the 2 hours or 3 hours to do the commute of getting on a bus, getting on a train, than it is jumping into a taxi. I actually enjoy it. And I just don't think it's necessary for me to, spend the money to go on a taxi when I can accomplish the same thing doing something else. Now, is that holding me back? Maybe. I don't feel like it is, but maybe it is. So part of our journey is to understand, what is our relationship to money? What is your relationship to money? What is your relationship to wealth? When you think of yourself as being filthy rich, does that wake up judgment? Does that wake up, oh no, I'm not worthy of that? Oh no, that I don't want that. Or, what does it mean to you if I was to say to you that, because a lot of people are like, I would love to win the lottery. So here's the thing with lotteries, and everybody's heard this, I'm sure. if you divided the money available in the world to everybody in the planet evenly, literally every single person in the planet, within a year or two, everything would fluctuate back to how it is right now. Because people that feel they are worthy of it and that it's easy to make and easy to keep and easy to work with will thrive, and the people that feel judgment around it and that money isn't, that money is a limitation and a restriction and that you need to work hard for it and that you need to do this and this for it, are going to slowly lose their money. And eventually it will balance back out to what you think you're worthy of. So it's an interesting concept to kind of bring up, and it is a path of spiritual journey, because our spiritual journey is waking up to the fact that we are abundant, waking up to the fact that we are sovereign beings. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're God. Why would there be any limitation to you if you are God? Why would you be limited financially if you're God? Could you imagine God saying, no, I'm not worth it? I'm not worthy of having everything I want and more. And of course not. And so this is part of our spiritual journey, is coming into this recognition that we are worthy of everything we want and more, however we define that. For some people, money is not important, and they could care less. But they will recognize that they will always have enough to do the things that they want to do that are important to them. And so someone can live a thriving life making $50,000 a year, whereas someone else, for them, living a thriving life is $5 million a year. And there's no judgment in that, because they've got different interests and different ideas of the kind of life that wakens them up, that excites them, and different values on what's important to them and what's not important to them. So hopefully this is kind of in line with what you were hoping to talk about, Alex. So I kind of want to.
No, I think this is. Tell me.
I was just going to say, I kind of want to switch conversations a little bit, if you guys are okay with this. So I'm going to use your offer to kind of get into a different conversation, okay? Because partly I'm curious about this. So you are offering people a free consultation to talk about how they can grow and expand their business utilizing their channeling abilities. And so I'm curious, how does one grow a business using channeling abilities?
So, well, the first idea that I had is somebody that has this gift that, so we can all channel, right? But there are people that are more gifted than others. So they might say, okay, I'm going to use that as either a side business or a full-on business to convey messages. And so when you're offering that, a lot of people I've seen, they've got through stumble. The first block is, do people really want it? Is it really recognized? Are people going to pay for this? And that's the first stumbling block. And then it's, okay, how do I practically really make sure that I can create a beautiful product that people are going to desire? And the question again, how are they going to pay for it? What are they willing to pay for it? So how can you bring your gift into, either it's already an existing business, whether it's coaching, whether it's healing, whether it's purely the channeling, to help you say, okay, I'm absolutely comfortable with it. I'm in integrity, because there's a lot of on integrity piece also that I want to mention, is when you work with spirit, are you doing your due diligence? Do you have a mentor? Do you have, all the things that comes with the technicalities of the channeling business, for instance? Or do you just wake up one day and say, I have this gift and I'm not going to, confront myself to any other teachers. I'm just going to go for it. And maybe you don't have a very strong practice yourself and you go and offer that. Again, it's your business is going to wobble. I always say if you offer something, again, especially in this realm of psychology, healing, channeling, magic, you need a mentor. You need somebody that is going to bring you back, because we all wobble, and you need to be absolutely grounded. So do you have that in practice? And so it's just about understanding where this person is, what is their biggest stumbling block? What do they want to offer? How much do you want to charge for it, right? What type of models are you charging per session, per package, per membership? I mean, there are so many things that you could be doing. And so it's easy for me to see a person, talk to him, talk to this person, and then again, see what stories they're putting into their past that is like, I can't do this, or I can't charge that much, or this is not working, or there are many, many pieces that comes when you want to grow your business, and it's a spiritual offer.
I'm finding it really interesting that I get questions and comments as you're speaking, and then I forget them. I'm normally a little bit better than that. But so let me ask you a question. Again, because this is a platform where we're giving spirit a voice.
Yes. Yes.
And I know that you can channel. Mm-hmm. And so I would love to kind of give spirit a voice and see what comes up.
In relation, ask me a question, and then
if I was to ask your team what they would like to share about this subject, what would they like to say?
About the subject of opening your channeling business?
Around the subject of money, around the subject of self-worth, on the subject of utilizing skills of channeling to open business.
Okay.
Enhancing your business with a stronger connection to spirit.
Okay, so the first things they say is, and I'm going to open my eyes, is of course, we are your best allies. So when you say, shall I use my channeling guidance to, so channeling, at least for my team, is transmitting a message, right? It's not healing, it's transmitting a message. So it's having this conversation between what I call extraordinary reality and ordinary reality. So you want to have a foot in both worlds. So you got to be able to maintain that here and there kind of thing, right? And they say, of course, we are your best guidance. We're your best allies. So if you, whatever you're doing and you're stuck and you have, you're not sure how to do things, or especially good for divination, do I go right or do I go left? Do I offer this product or do I offer that product? Do I speak at this summit or that summit? They give you guidance. Now, the other thing that I want you to know is you gotta ask. You gotta ask for help. You gotta create that connection, whatever way it's gonna work for you. And again, the integrity piece is you can't, my team is very practical and very sense of humor, but you cannot go and drink all day and then say, Spirit, what do I do? It doesn't work that way. You gotta have certain integrity. You gotta have a certain, and they like, at least my team, they like to have certain rituals, right? They like to, let me come back to that. they kind of like to have a regular relationship. They kind of like to say, okay, maybe every morning we tune in for 5 minutes. It could be while you drink your coffee, but you sit in silence, you light a candle if you want, and you communicate with us. And they like this conversation to be continuous. You communicate is, again, that part of I'm here and here at the same time. You communicate with them, you have discussions, you go and apply it in 3D reality, you come back, you have another conversation. What you cannot do is, I want this to happen, make it happen for me. Don't even ask. Do you understand the difference, or do I need to go more into that?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And like I say, they're very straightforward as well. So very practical when they give this advice. And in terms of self-worth, it's never-ending journey. That's the answer that maybe we don't like. It's a never-ending journey of development. I remember you were born worthy, but the discovery as human is never-ending. Does it make sense?
It does, and I would word it slightly differently. I would say that there is no end to the journey because there is always more.
Mm-hmm.
You will never get to a point and then say, okay, this is enough. You will, wherever you are, you're always going to want more because there's more to have. There's more expansion. When you start getting to a point within your spiritual journey where miracles are happening to you every day, there's room and space for more miracles to happen, for bigger miracles to happen, for more amazing things to happen that are even beyond our own understanding, because at the moment, my level of understanding is here, and I can only see that this is what's possible. When I get to a higher level of understanding, when I expand my awareness to a broader level, then more possibilities open up, more opportunities open up, because I'm able to see what's possible more clearly than I can from where I'm currently at. And so there's always more to have. So there's no end to the journey. There's this ever-present, infinite possibility of expansion, of growth, of opportunity. And so that's the way that I would word it, which is saying the same thing.
Yes. And they just said something else as well, which is don't get frustrated, but they're only trickling the information to match the level we're at. So how do I explain that? So, at times it may feel like they're holding back what they're saying to you, but it's deliberate. So they're only going to give you the next step to expand your consciousness, to expand your knowing, to expand your awareness, as opposed to the whole law of the universe. How does the universe work? And if they do, sometimes they take it away as well. I remember I was working with dreams, and I really wanted to know the whole scenario. Why am I here? What am I here to do? And I know they gave me that answer in the dream, but in the morning they took it away, right? So it's a little bit of that game and that dance of, we'll show you how much you can expand, but hey, we're just gonna trickle that information down. And all the while, you need to keep that connection. And sometimes that's the frustration, maybe. Sometimes this is where you feel, been abandoned, or, they tell you one thing, but maybe it's not a straightforward answer. You got to be involved. Again, they're not going to do the work for you. So it's finding that level of communication, and also who do I go to when to, for me, it's both, like really understanding how to evolve, but also how do I make my life better and my clients' life better. Ultimately, that's the first step. Then the bigger picture is when in between. Yeah, I think that's answered your question.
For now, I'll
for them.
come back. I'll come back to them. I'll come back to them. So one thing that I'll kind of add to this part of the conversation is it is important for us to recognize that that spirit communicates to us at the level that we're at, using the language that we're using. And so I'll give you an example of this. One of the people in my community, my membership group, had an issue with a situation where she felt that something happened to her where she needed protection. And I talked to her about, and it's a similar conversation that I had the other day with Kristen yesterday. If you are the energy that creates everything, what do you need protection from? And when you start to recognize that you are the energy that creates everything, then everything that you need protection from just dissolves. It's no longer relevant. It's no longer applicable. But the reason that I'm bringing this up as a conversation is because this individual in my group said to me, I had a conversation with my team and they said that I needed to protect myself. And then after the conversation that I had with her, she went back to her team and said, hey, why, what's going on? Because you guys told me that I needed to protect myself. And Daniel's now telling me that there's a different way of approaching this. And they said, Daniel's right, but we spoke to you at the level that you are at. And so they're going to support us at the level that we're at. When we expand, when we grow, when we allow ourselves to experience a greater sense of ourselves, then they can speak to us at that level. And of course, they're always going to speak a little bit above our level to help us kind of shift, but they're not going to speak to us too far above our level. And they're not going to speak to us in language that we wouldn't understand because of the level of understanding that we live our experience moment by moment. And interestingly enough, I've also heard that spirit will say things to us that aren't necessarily true because they know that we're going to respond to that in a certain way. It's going to motivate us in a certain way. And so the outcome of what they are saying isn't necessarily as important as the reason that they're telling that in that way is so that it has the impact that it needs to have for me to take action the way that I would take action, knowing that that's the situation. And so it's not to say that spirit is lying to us, but they're going to word things in a way that will motivate us, knowing how it is that we individually respond, not collectively, individually. So my team knows how my human reacts to the things that they say. And so they shift what they say and how they say it, knowing how my human is going to respond. And I think it's important for us all to recognize that. What's coming up for you, Alex?
Absolutely. I want to say and that's why at the beginning you need a training. When I say you need a training, you need to train yourself to have this conversation and understand, what are they saying, how are they saying it, who are you talking to, and what does it mean for you? And this is, for instance, again, if you look at dream interpretation, I might dream about something because my team knows this is what she needs and this is how she's going to perceive it. But if I tell my dream to a friend and she might say, oh my God, this is crazy. No, it doesn't work that way. Again, and so for me, and a lot of when I do shamanic sessions where in shamanic session, you ask a question and it's very direct. They're going to tell you very directly. But sometimes I say, that doesn't make sense to me, but I'm still going to tell it to the clients. And the clients say, absolutely makes sense for me. I know what they want me to do. And so part of this is for you to, again, refrain from judgment, understand, are you working for yourself? Are you working for a client? What is this conversation with your team? Are they very straightforward? Some are more loving, some are a bit more direct. There's a whole arrays of the way they converse with you, and the more you have that connection, as opposed to once in a blue moon when you need something and then you forget about them for the rest of, you know, the next 6 months, it makes it a bit harder than if you've got this daily conversations, even though sometimes I think, am I crazy, you know, because am I completely crazy? Doesn't, yes, we are different, maybe we're a bit more crazy than normal, but that makes a lot more sense to keep having that conversation. And at the same time, you don't want to everything that you're doing in your 3D to doubt yourself. Again, you want to get that almost direct link with spirit, where you can trust. That's where it comes to intuition. This is where it comes to, I'm going to turn right as opposed to left, without questioning every decision that you're making, because you're not sure if that's the right one.
So hopefully this has been a helpful conversation for you guys. Again, for people that are live with us, if you've got questions or comments, or you want to, you know, interact, feel free to raise your hand or put a question in the comment.
Any question? Anybody wanting to come on camera? We all shy? Are we all shy?
Nothing seems to be coming through. So
okay. So
anything else that you feel that you want to kind of share about this conversation? Anything else your team wants to share?
yes, which is about boundaries, because I don't know if people here are actively channeling, actively offering channeling as a business, but there is things that happen for me. For instance, you know, you go into a training class or something and somebody walks up to me and say, your guides wants you to know this. No, my guides are talking to me directly, right? So if this is you that receive messages for people, let's say you go to an airport and you start to receive messages from spirit regarding this person, that person, I would say put some boundaries on, because spirit can get very excited, but ultimately it can be very disruptive for your 3D reality. So this is why I say have a constant line, but you know when to open and close it. And you could say, if you have any message of danger, you know, send it to my intuition or whatever way you want to call it. But don't interrupt me every moment for every single person. And I talk about it because a lot of people have this experience. They open up and they start to receive all those messages. They're overwhelmed. You go out on the mall, you're feeling exhausted, your energy is drained. And also you may be guilty of approaching somebody and say, I want to pass on this message. That's really not okay. And especially if you have medium gifts, there are, you know, spirit that maybe having transitions, and so they're gonna find they want an open channel. They're looking for open channel for you to say this to your grandma, the daughter, and please, you know, again, do trainings, know how to close the tap, open the tap, how to relate a message, and unless somebody asks you, never pass on a message, because it's counterproductive.
And I'm just going to kind of reword that a little bit.
Sure.
And of course, these are, you know, this is Alex's perspective and Alex's point of view, and you know, that works for her and the people that she works with. And I'm not saying anything differently. What I would say is, if you get messages for other people, be respectful of the other person. Be conscious of, if you are to approach them, think about how you're going to approach them so that it's not disruptive to them. And this is also a conversation you can have with whatever entity is coming to share a message with you, is, hey, how do I bring this up to them, given that they don't know who the hell I am and that they haven't asked for this information. So be respectful of that. You know, I know people that get messages from spirit all the time. I mean, one of my teachers talks about an example where she was at a restaurant and she's got kind of her on and off switch, and her switch was off, and she kept on getting pestered by this entity, and she was basically saying, not right now, I'm, you know, having dinner with my family, my light is off. And she kept on getting pestered, and to the point where her mother said, someone wants to say something, don't they? And she's like, yeah, I've got someone, you know, over here that wants me to share something with a family member that's at another table. And ultimately she gave permission to the spirit to share what they wanted to share, and she went over to the table and, you know, approached them respectfully and shared what they wanted to share. So if you feel like that's something that you're called to do it respectfully, because, you know, it's a thin line. It can be a thin line between sharing information that spirit gives you about somebody else versus giving information to somebody else that spirit is asking you to share with them. You know, so for example, if I get a notion that Alex isn't, let me see if I can come up with an example. If I get the impression that Alex needs to do something else in her life to expand more, it's not my place to tell her, hey, Alex, you need to go and hire this person, or you need to, you know, go and do shamanic training, or you need to go and do Reiki healing, because spirit is telling you that that's what's needed for you. That's not my place to say. Whereas if Alex's husband, knowing that I have a connection with spirit, and Alex's husband comes to me and says, hey, you know, I've got a message for Alex, that's something that I would share with Alex and say, hey, Alex, you know, I hope you don't mind. I happen to have a connection with spirit, and I'm getting a message from someone who says they're your husband. Is this something that you'd be open for, or, you know, willing to receive? So that's the kind of message that I personally would share, but I wouldn't tell Alex what she needs to do or what's important for her. That's not the kind of message that I would share. It's like, thank you, spirit, for letting me know, but that's her journey. That's her path. So that's the way that I would kind of word what I feel Alex was pointing towards.
Yes, and I want to also make it practical towards the business, right? So let's say in this example where my husband, and for those of you who don't know, is in spirit. So let's say Daniel was channeling people from the other side, and he charges money for that, right? And then my husband goes to Daniel and say, hey, I have a message for Alex, because he knows we're going to talk, and Daniel is open, and then Daniel comes to me and say, your husband said this and this, or are you willing? And he doesn't charge for it. That's not the business side, right? What he could do is go back to my husband and say, that's my job and she hasn't come to me, so go and tap on her shoulder, and maybe in her dreams, or use whatever things you do to convince her or to point her in my direction. So then I wake up thinking, oh, I've got to find a medium. Let me see. And, you know, there's going to be that connection to Daniel. And I say, Daniel, can I have a session? I think, you know, I want to connect to my husband. So again, there's a way for you to be in integrity and to say, I'm still going to, it's a business. So I'm going to send spirit back and say, you convince your spouse, or, you know, you let her know she needs to come to me, and I'm going to charge for that session, because I'm not here to do it as a free session. And of course, there are exceptions, you know, there are many things, but ideally, if that's your business, you're not going to open up to pass messages for free to whoever spirit is showing up. Right, Daniel? I mean, that's how I do it. That's how I was told by my shaman, and that's how we all do it when we have a business for it.
And so I have a different model where I am not, how do I put this? I'm not focused on charging for my work. I'm focused on giving value and knowing and recognizing that the recipient is going to offer some kind of value exchange for it. And I'm not necessarily focused on that being money. So I don't, if I am able to give information to someone, and, you know, if someone's hiring me for work, I absolutely will charge for it. Absolutely. And I've got no problem with that. You know, I'm helping you expand in your understanding. I'm helping you have information that you wouldn't have otherwise. I'm helping you connect with your team in a way that allows you to have a deeper appreciation for them and yourself. I will facilitate situations that will expand your awareness and expand your situation. And so there's an element there where, of course, I recognize that in our modern world, our current world, we're still living with a position of money as being a representation of that exchange of energy. I'm not going to walk up to someone in a restaurant and say, I've got a message from your husband, come hire me, to get that message. And I'm not going to tell spirit, you know, tell your wife to come hire me, otherwise I'm not going to give your message. That's not the way that I personally would work. But I know that if I give this message to them, you know, there's a possibility that they're going to want to know more. So I'll give them my number and say, hey, you know, this is who I am. If you want to, you know, connect at a deeper level, happy to help. But again, you got to be careful with that, because you don't want it to sound, it has to be genuine, and it can't be a trick. It can't be a charlatan. It can't be a, you know, I'm going to give you, like, for example, I was in Spain. A gypsy comes up to me and says, I'm going to read your future. And I'm like, no. And she's like, I'm going to read your future. And I said, no, I'm not interested. And she told me something from my future. And then she said, okay, that's 15 euros. And I said, no, you know, it's just, that's not the way that we work. That's not the way that I work. And so everybody has a different approach to what they do with money, how they do with money, how they build their business, what's important to them, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do. Alex has a model for how she builds her business, and she has part of her business building is helping people expand their own business. And so there's aspects of that. Now, there's things that Alex does that will resonate with me as her student, as her partner, the person that she works with, as her client. There are going to be things that she says that really resonate with me, that really expand my ability to expand my business. And there's things that she says that might not really resonate with me. And that's where my own judgment and my own discernment comes in as an individual, where you can work with people if you resonate with them, but don't take everything they say as gospel. Everything they say is a guide for you to say yes or no. This isn't the gospel. None of us are saying this is the way that you need to work and you can only work this way. And none of us are saying that. Alex isn't saying that. You know, we are sharing everything that we have learned about what has worked for us, what we think is important, but there's room within that for you to use your own discernment as to what resonates with you and what works for you within your own practice, either in growing your spiritual self or in growing your business, you know, however that plays out.
Absolutely. And I want to add to that the way of spirits are infinite, right? So there are many ways to expand and grow and do things that are going to be different for each and everybody here. So again, it's up to you. First of all, you're going to be drawn to people where that that you resonate with and not with others. So we don't learn from the same teachers. We don't follow the same guidance, right? And the other things that when it comes to growth that Daniel mentioned, I always say to people, in terms to grow your business, whatever business it is, the shortcut is to grow yourself. Again, do your self-development, do your healing, do all of the things that work for you, but in order to expand your consciousness. And the more you expand, your business is just going to follow. But if you try to grow your business, but you stay stuck, again, it's going to be a lot harder. So I say one of the fast track shortcut, grow yourself to your inner development, learn channeling, learn healing, learn shamanism, learn whatever works for you. But that's really going to grow your business. And then you have that direct thread with other humans, with spirit, and it's a collaboration and a never expanding journey. So.
And Alex said it before, and I want to reiterate this because it's really important. For you to grow yourself and your business, you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in yourself. Have it be by working with a coach, working with a mentor, working with a teacher, working with classes, working with expansion, working with whatever, however that works for you, but you need to invest in yourself.
Absolutely. And that comes back to what I said at the beginning, that let's say if you're a coach, you need to have a coach. Because if you don't believe in the value of a coach, or, every psychologist by law needs another psychologist, a psychiatrist needs a psychiatrist. Now, unfortunately, healers don't need to have a healer or a coach don't need to have a coach by law. But I think if you want to be in integrity, again, are you recognizing the value of a coach so much so that you invest in one? And when I say a coach, it could be a healer, it could be a mentor, so that you can offer that to the world. Because if you say, hey, come on me, I'm a good healer, but then you don't want to invest yourself in a healer, how is that going to work out? Right? So again, you need to be willing, and hopefully, even if you say, I'm going to invest in a business coach, you're going to invest 50, you're going to get 150 in returns for whatever you're offering. You're paying a healer, you're getting 10 times more. But you got to have that. You got to have that acknowledgement of, I'm investing in me by recognizing that there is somebody that I value, that I trust, that can guide me, because there's always somebody a step ahead of you, always. And so I think this is important to just say it again. And that works for every business, spiritual, non-spiritual, any type of business. If you're selling chocolate and you don't like chocolates, or you despise chocolate, what are you doing? Right? Just because the money's there, this is where there's no alignment. And this is where, out of integrity comes off. At least that's how I was taught by my team.
So this is something that is really, really important to bring up. Do what you enjoy doing. Follow the steps that excite you. Offer a product, offer a service that you are passionate about. I love these conversations. I love doing these platforms. I love the conversations I have with the members of my community. I love doing the sessions that I do with people that work with me to do spiritual regressions. I love that relationship with spirit. I love the relationship with the people I work with. You'll notice I hate the word client. I don't like that word. I don't use that word. I work with people. People work with me. That's the way that I refer to it, because that resonates with me. It's part of what works for me in the relationship that I want to have with people. I'm passionate about things. I love conversations with spirit. I love listening to channeled messages. I'm passionate about learning how to become more effective in this methodology of communicating with spirit. And so this is what I'm pursuing. Now, this can change at any moment. And then I will change that. When the energy changes, I will change. And teachers are the same way. The people, and again, I'm not a big fan of using the word teacher. You know, people say to me that I'm their teacher, and I'm like, no, I'm actually not. I don't like the word teacher. I listen to people and I learn with people. There's people that I listen to that I like listening to, and I spend money to be part of their community because I get a lot of value from what they are sharing. And somebody said this yesterday in one of the other sessions. They are recognizing that the teachers that they've been working with are no longer aligned with what she wants to learn. And it's almost like, and I said to her, I studied martial arts when I was a kid, and I went to a school where I learned enough in the school to learn that I didn't want to learn from them anymore. I learned enough to know that I didn't like what they were teaching me, but I was with them for 2.5 to 3 years in order to get to the point where I realized this isn't right. So there's always value in follow the people that you resonate with, follow the people that wake something up in you, follow the people who speak a language that inspires you. However, this is really, really important. Again, this is the way that I work. Don't follow them as a follower. Do not go into it as they know more than I do. They don't. You know as much as anybody else. Work with people that help you to awaken the wisdom within yourself. And when you're with people that do that, give them credit for it, of course, but recognize that they're not the ones that are teaching this to you. They're the ones that are helping you find it within yourself. Being in these conversations, this platform of the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, I don't want any of us to teach you anything. That's not my intention. My intention is for us to share our experiences so that something within you wakes up. So something within you has an essence of recognition where you go, yes. Or you get what in the Three Principles community we call an insight. Sight from within. Wisdom from within. What I say, what Alex says, none of this is where the power is. None of this is where the value is of any of this conversation. The value is, what was your response to what was said? What did you get from what you heard? What was your experience of what was read or heard or seen? That's where the value is. That's where the power is. It's from what happens from within you. Our jobs, our roles are to provide a framework that gives you practical information that can help you connect with your inner wisdom, with what's valuable for you, with what's powerful for you. And so teachers, coaches, gurus, anybody that you feel resonates, that you resonate with, lean into that. But I encourage you, lean into it with an awareness that you are as powerful and as knowledgeable as they are, because everything is coming from within you. All wisdom, all knowledge, all lessons, all awakenings are happening from within you. And our job, our role, is to provide a platform where that happens more easily. And Alex happens to be focused around helping you build your business, utilizing these connections with spirit, utilizing your awareness, your gifts and allowing an alignment within that so that it aligns with kind of an abundant mentality, perspective, point of view. You know, that's where she's currently focused in. And she does a lot of other things too. She talked about how she's got, you know, theta training and, you know, energy work and healing, and she's a shamanic practitioner. And, you know, so there's a lot of other things that she does as well. So what we do and what we say, yes, we hope that it's helpful. But what's important is what's coming from you, what's awakening in you, what insights are you getting? Oh yeah, that's something that makes sense. That's something that I want to do. That resonates with me. That empowers me. That gives me pleasure. That gives me joy. That excites me. That's so, just kind of wanted to share that. I don't know why that came out, but that came out. So Alex, there's a note here from Rebecca saying, thank you so much, Alex, for what you said about charging for your service. That was very helpful. I'm not a channel yet, but I heard exactly what I needed for my expertise, which is wonderful. I'm really glad that you had that experience, Rebecca. And so Cheryl, a couple of comments from there. Anyway, thank you so much for the time, Alex. Thank you for coming in to join us. And again, I'll remind you guys, Alex is offering a free consultation for you guys to kind of connect with her and have a conversation about, you know, how working together might benefit you. Her website is breathingheart.co.uk. And again, that's going to be in the description of this episode, however it is you're coming across it. And for those of you that are listening to this live, sorry, in the live season, if you click on the special invitation button in the website, there'll be a link there to schedule a consultation with her. Anything that you would like to kind of share and add? Anything else that you would like to share or add?
The last thing I want to leave you with is, you know, when you have a prayer and you say, I wish this would happen, whether it's, let's go with relationships, so we come off the topic of money, for instance, but let's say you say, oh, so let's say I'm single and I say, oh, I wish I'll meet my soulmate. And then 3 days down the line, call it Let's Be Modern, on my Facebook group, I see an advertising for a matchmaking agency. Now, this to me is my answer to a prayer. And maybe not the first time I see it, but if I keep that intention, oh, I want to meet my soulmate, and this ad keeps popping up, I personally pay attention, because, you know, me saying, I hope I'm going to meet my soulmate doesn't necessarily mean I step out my door and there he is, right? But if I see this matchmaking agency ad, I'm thinking, I wonder. That's the answer to my prayer. As opposed again on, oh no, I need to invest money to sign up to a matchmaking agency. No, that's not what I want. Let me just go and find it myself. Of course you can go and find it yourself, but it's taking longer than if you say, okay, yeah, that's the guidance. So sometimes the guidance and the answer to prayers is a lot more practical than what we think, the sky opening up and this beautiful soulmate walking to you and say, I've been waiting for you my whole life. No, again, you got to do your inner work. And the inner work is, I'll hire a matchmaking company and let's see what's the next step. So again, this happened for me and for clients every day. Well, they think exactly that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So for those of you that are with us live, thank you for being here. We appreciate your being here with us. For those of you that are listening, we appreciate you being here as well. Hopefully this has been helpful and useful information for you. If you want to work with Alex, please reach out to her. Like I say, you know, her website again will be listed in the description of the episode. And for those of you that are with us live, the next conversation is actually with me. I'm the next speaker in 30 minutes, so at the top of the hour. And I will leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.
thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more. Have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.